first of all, I do want to take a moment to thank Kash Patel and Matthew Taylor for coming on. Really would love to talk to them much more. But folks, Government Gangster is a must read and it's a must see. The one question I didn't get to ask them, there are several, but one of them, Ericka, that comes to mind is, do they really think that the election is going to be free and fair? And I believe that he's 100% correct, that they are in panic mode that Trump will win, which is why I think they tried to have him assassinated, right? Who they are remains to be seen. I'm not pointing any fingers, but at the end of the day, anybody who tells me that this 19-year-old kid outsmarted Secret Service, no, there's oceanfront property in Arkansas I'd like to sell you. So
yeah, and I think that's what that's the same thing we see with all of the famous assassination attempts in history. Do you want me to believe that how many? What was it, like Lee Harvey Oswald or one of them was in? Who was it? No. Come on. Maybe it was the guy that tried to assassinate the president, Reagan. He might have been
John Hinckley Jr.
Was he MK Ultra? Like a lot of these crazy people, it turns out they were like, tested on by the freaking CIA and crap like that. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I have an inherent distrust for the government. Where's my tinfoil hat?
And you have a book that says reasons not to trust the government too, by the way, which we both know. But so anyways, to Kash Patel and to Matthew Taylor, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's bring them back on.
Thanks for making that movie. Thanks for making the movie. It's so good.
So another aspect of the deep state to me is this whole process by which, Kamala Harris was nominated, right? Which she really wasn't. She was appointed. But here's my question. Where is Commie? Because that's my new name for her. She's not Kamala Harris. She's Commie Harris, right? I mean, sort of little double entendre there, right? She's Commie Harris, right? I mean,
Commie Harris. Commie.
I mean, look, you go from Robert to Bob. Everyone has a short nickname. I think her nickname should be Commie Harris. Don't you think?
I'm into it. I'm into it.
But where did she go? So she is anointed the nominee. And she hasn't had a press conference in 16 days, 17 days?
No.
So this is,
nope.
Is this another rope-a-dope hide in the basement?
Yes. Everybody knows that. Everybody called it, that this is going to be another Biden campaign, Biden-Harris campaign 2.0, where she just hides in the basement, because the more people see her, the more they dislike her. She has no charisma. She lacks authenticity. When you hear her record, you know that she's not a serious person. How do you get around all that?
So she is a female Joe Biden, right? She would be a titular head as president, and the deep state behind the scenes would be running things as usual. I hadn't linked it to the military-industrial complex that Kash, brings up in Government Gangsters, and he's right. I mean, that, Eisenhower did warn about it. Reagan warned about it. I guess my real question is, if you believe, as I do, that the 2020 elections were, let's just call them irregular, for lack of a better term. I don't want to get a community strike, because I leave that to you to give us community strikes. If they went for it in 2020 and were successful, and the stakes are even higher now, what makes anybody believe that they're not going to absolutely go for it and leave no stone unturned this time around? Which, by the way, you were the one who told me about what's going on with blue mailboxes, aren't you?
Oh, are we going to play it? Are we going to talk about it?
Well, first let's talk about it so people understand it, and then we're going to play it.
Yeah. So I saw that. So this news story, a local Boulder, Denver area story came up in my news feed, and it's people are breaking into those blue mailboxes. The blue, like, post office boxes.
You mean the blue mailboxes that are supposed to be secure? And when you give a letter to the U.S. Postal Service, it's a federal crime to steal. It's a federal crime.
It is a federal offense. That's correct.
To tamper with U.S. mail. So you're telling me, where is this happening? Let me guess. The blue mailboxes are only being tampered in the blue states?
Well, actually, it's happening all over the country, but it's very bad in Colorado, particularly in the Denver area, a blue city that's overrun with illegal immigrants, cutting services to everyday people to accommodate illegal immigrants. So, is it a surprise that there is an increase in crime in the area? Probably not. So
not.
this is, so it's a story about people breaking into blue mailboxes. Now, we're going to talk about the consequence on our election. I'm just saying that it is convenient that people are stealing the mail when 70% of the electorate now has mail-in voting. And
well, wait a minute. If they can open the boxes to take things out, can't they open the boxes to put things in?
oh, look at you making inferences about things.
I don't want to look at
could
me.
Be possible. This is the thing. I mean, realistically, right? They can steal things or they can add things. So let's hear what's happening in Colorado.
Mailboxes, but they also access mailbox banks inside apartment buildings as well as those cluster mailboxes for an entire neighborhood. Boulder police, as you mentioned, telling us that that suspect tonight is connected to a highly sophisticated crime ring using those keys. 40 cases, 4 months, and nearly $400,000 taken.
I'm Taylor Hickam. I'm a detective with the Boulder Police Department, and I'm currently in the Special Victims Unit.
Those numbers, just a glimpse at the mail theft operation she's uncovered in the city of Boulder.
Other detectives, it's just been they've emailing me saying, hey, I got this case. Hey, I got this case.
Each one of them connecting back to the blue USPS mailboxes around town. Officers were watching, waiting.
And last Wednesday, they saw an individual drive up to the box, open it with a counterfeit key.
An arrest was made and a search of the suspect's car uncovered more counterfeit arrow keys, IDs, and mail that didn't belong to him.
None of us were.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
So Ericka, where are they getting the keys?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, isn't it?
So I thought they were sort of figured out a way to so clearly they're getting keys, which leads you to believe if they can get the keys, so can Democrat autocrat operatives, right? Is that the concern here?
Absolutely.
But Denver and Colorado are already blue. Where is
but
it
it's
happening in states that are purple?
It's happening all across the country. It just happened to be that this report is from correct. It's not being covered all over the country. Yeah, good luck finding this story everywhere. But the reporters in this piece talk about the fact that it is happening all over the country. There is a criminal ring. There is a criminal enterprise around stealing the mail and basically forging checks and doing stuff like that. So imagine what they can do and what havoc will be wreaked once millions and millions of ballots will be going in the mailboxes.
Interesting. So right now it's a criminal investigation, and again, I didn't see this story, which, you know me, I see almost all stories. So where did you see this? Where can people find this information? Because, that's a real interesting issue, because if it's happening in, let's call them the battleground states, we talked about them in the monologue.
Yeah.
If it's happening in Wisconsin or Minnesota or Pennsylvania or Michigan, or maybe North Carolina, Arizona, or Nevada. So where can people check all that? Because I'd like to be one of them to check that.
Yeah, I just added a link in the comments. So check the comments below. You can go watch the rest of the video. Anybody can go watch it. It's pretty crazy.
Perfect. So I want to come back to this whole Kamala Harris thing, or Commie Harris, as we like to call her. Commie Harris. Because this really is, with the pick of Tim Walz, they're going for it, right? Because this isn't like they picked somebody moderate. If you look at Walz's positions on things, and by the way, look at the Harris website. They don't talk about illegal immigration or the border. They don't talk about the economy. All they talk about is abortion or climate change or other things that push their agenda.
Yeah.
For all of this, they're clearly, and then you have Tim Walz saying, well, one man's socialism or one person's socialism is another one's neighborliness. So they're going for it. Right. They are going for this with a radical choice.
Yep.
of this guy, Governor Walz, who comes across as like this grandfatherly nice guy until you really sort of break down what he's saying.
Well, and they're using identity politics to describe him too. They're not talking about his views and what he believes on things. They're talking about he's a veteran and a coach
He's a Lutheran and he's a Lutheran
dad. And whoa, really? I didn't know Lutherans believed in abortion up to the point of birth and removing the genitals of children of minor age. I didn't know Lutherans were into that.
So you know,
or is he Lutheran like Joe Biden's a Catholic?
Well, I'm saying, you're asking the Jewish guy to give you information about Catholicism or being Lutheran. I don't think I'm in a position to make that analysis, right?
I think you could. I think you have my permission.
I think I would get into a lot of trouble, and I'm in enough trouble most of the time already. So I think we're going to pass on that.
All right.
But
all right.
Here's my theory on where have you gone, Kamala Harris, right? I don't think she's in the basement, right? I think she was in the basement when she was in San Francisco, right? That's a whole, during those years. That was a bump, but we'll just go right over that one. That's okay. I think she is MIA in terms of the media. Another thing we didn't talk to Kash Patel about, because I think the media are carrying the water of the deep state. That's a whole different conversation. I think that Kamala Harris is taking lessons at the knees of Barack Obama to learn how to message properly. And until then, she's not going to do a damn interview, and she's not going to give a press conference. What do you think?
Was that another bump moment? Or was that
no?
Or was that an unconscious double entendre?
That was an unconscious double entendre.
I did think. Yeah, you know what's funny? When I was listening to the likes of Josh Shapiro and these rallies that she's doing, it does sound like somebody's telling her how to change her cadence and how to I don't know how to sound like she's got more chutzpah than she does. I don't know. It's not really working for me.
She is an incredibly flawed candidate, and I think that if the debate with Biden really did Biden in, I think when the American public hears her live, unfiltered, without Adderall, that it's going to be hard for most people to vote for.
Oh my God. Do you remember? So here's the thing. Most people don't remember the vice presidential debate. I do. I watched it because I'm a nerd. Mike Pence mopped the floor with Kamala Harris. She was like, I'm speaking. Excuse me, I'm speaking. She sounded like what is it? An angry childless cat lady? No. What was it JD Vance got in trouble for saying?
Something about, angry childless cat ladies or something like that.
Yes, that's what she sounded like.
So if Lord Benjamin can find this, I actually think what was really more devastating than that was in the vice presidential debate. She was the takedown that Tulsi Gabbard did of her. So if you can find, and I believe that was in the presidential.
Yes, it was the Democrat primary for
the Democratic primary. I believe it was 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
And maybe he can find it, because Tulsi Gabbard's takedown of Kamala Harris was the most brutal takedown of a politician I've seen in a long time. And it was done with class, because she's a classy lady.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Donald Trump, and hopefully Lord Benjamin, you can find that clip, but Donald Trump takes questions from everyone. He goes on, ABC with Stephanopoulos. He allows CNN to host the debate, right? And that's the other thing. So now, right? Well, Trump's canceled the debate because he's scared of Kamala Harris.
That is No, he's not. He didn't cancel it.
Right.
Why are they saying he canceled?
Kamala Harris agreed to do a vice presidential debate on Fox News with J.D. Vance. And now she will not agree to a presidential debate on Fox with Donald Trump because Fox is biased.
Dude, if I was Donald Trump, I'd be like, whatever. We'll have it wherever. You want to do it on NPR? I don't care. Dude, did you see him manhandle the Black Reporters Association thing that he went to? They were so nasty to him, and he was like, wow, you're nasty. And he just handled it. Look, you cannot like Donald Trump, and you cannot like the way he talks. You cannot like his character. There's 1,000 things that you can criticize him for, but he is willing to step into the fire. He was willing to agree to whatever Biden wanted for the first debate. He has proven that he's willing to take it on. So, okay, so we've got the clip here. Hang on,
at the 4-minute mark with Tulsi Gabbard. Let's pull that up while you're pulling up. Look, I agree. The problem is really the media, because what will end up happening is the media will carry the water for the Harris campaign, like they carry the water for the deep state, where they will spin a narrative. Again, I believe George Stephanopoulos, you brought it up, was talking to Byron Donalds about questioning whether or not Kamala Harris was Black. Well, first of all, because she identifies with being Black, half Jamaican, half Indian heritage, that's who she should be, right? Yet on every form she used to fill out, and even San Francisco, I think it was the Chronicle, hailed her as the first Indian, or American of Indian heritage who was a U.S. senator. So, you can't have it both ways. Anyways, here's the clip of Tulsi Gabbard taking down Kamala Harris.
To the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Presidential debates during the nominating process, and you're going to see this clip of Tulsi Gabbard laying out everything Kamala Harris did in San Francisco when she was the federal prosecutor? I forget what she was, but in San Francisco. But she just destroyed her by just telling the truth. Frankly, that's who she is.
And interesting note that Tulsi Gabbard's website suddenly just miraculously stopped working after that night. Her whole platform crashed, and she was the most Googled person of the night.
Not only that, they scrubbed her from Google. They scrubbed her from Google afterwards. So she was the most searched until the next day when they scrubbed the algorithm and you couldn't find her.
Yep.
Right. So, anyways, I want to close. I know we're coming. I'm not heartened, but when you find someone hoisted on their own petard, or really, you see an example of the kettle calling the pot black, you have to highlight it and bring it out. Do you know who Max Boot is? Can't hear you. Max Boot? Das Boot?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Max Boot is a Washington Post columnist, famous Washington Post columnist, who during the Trump years was one of the leading advocates of pushing this Trump is a traitor. Trump is influenced by Russia. Trump is, all these things that Trump, basically that he's a Russian stooge. It turns out, you're smiling. It turns out that his wife just got brought up on federal charges for being a foreign agent to South Korea, right? So, he called Trump a foreign asset, right? And I like to read these things, right? So,
well, hey,
so
you accuse your enemy of what you're doing,
right? So, Boot's wife, quote, an occasional co-author The former CIA analyst and longtime Asia policy expert Sue Mi Terry, and I might have pronounced that wrong, has now been charged with 2 felony counts of serving as an unregistered agent for a foreign power. Right? And you sit there,
Wow.
and that's why there is no, it comes back to Kash Patel and Matthew Taylor. It's all about the deep state, but the tentacles of the deep state aren't just inside government, and I think that's what
right.
people need to understand.